YCS Guadalajara has come and gone, and I have a chunk of deck profiles for everybody. What is up, YouTube? M40. So we have 5 things to smash through today. Cloud's been feeding me information's been coming across on the internet, so let's dig on into this. So the first list we're going to be looking at is Lair Infernoid, making top cut at the YCS, which was very impressive nonetheless. Like, I'm actually genuinely excited to have seen this do well. So we have triple copies of Arima, the Wicked Warden, triple copies of Denkatron, 2 copies of Deviati, 1 copy of Harmadik, 2 copies of Anuku, 1 copy of Patruli, 2 copies of Seismitis. Then we have 1 copy of Sijet, 2 copies of Lilith, triple copies of Called by the Grave, 2 copies of the Lair of Darkness, triple copies of Pot of Extravagance, and we have triple copies of Void Imagination, yay, Imagination Station. And then we have triple Void Vanishment, of course. And then we have 2 copies of Evenly Matched. This one kind of caught me off guard seeing this in the main deck here. I don't know really if this was something we should be approaching as main deck material, but I don't know. I guess in Infernoids, this can find a pretty solid space in here. We have triple copies of Infinite Permanence, 1 copy of Trap Trick, and triple copies of Void Feast. So at least with Trap Trick, you can set the evenly and then kind of mess up your opponent's strategy a little bit. I actually kind of like that, at least in terms of diversity and idealism. It's cute. The extra deck on here with 2 Wee Riches Apprentice, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 2 copies of the Hida, 2 copies of Doodle Chimera, 2 copies of Crusadia Equimax, and then we have triple copies of Infernoid Tiara and triple copies of Ints. Side deck here we have triple copies of Asher Blossom and Joyous Springu, 2 copies of DD Crow, 1 copy of Lilith, triple copies of Hadoken, 2 copies of Duality, 1 Evenly Matched, and triple copies of Typhoon, wrapping up the Infernoid list. Next up, we have Sky Striker. Sky Striker's pretty much solidified itself into what I would consider a very consistent build at this point. You don't get a lot of really big, diverse cuts in this deck anymore, which is kind of disappointing because considering this deck had a lot of cool things it could do. So, we have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, 1 copy of Effect Failure, triple copies of Sky Striker Ace Ray, 2 copies of Foolish Barrel Goods, 1 copy of Metal Force Fusion, 2 MST, 2 copies of Pot of Desires, 1 copy of Rhoda, triple copies of Area Zero, 1 Afterburners, 1 Jamming Waves, and 1 Eagle Booster. Well, 1 copy of Hornet Drones, 2 copies of Shark Cannon, triple Widow Anchor, 1 copy of Multi-Roll, 1 Hercules Base, triple Engage, 1 copy of Terraforming, 1 Upstart Goblin, triple Infinite Permanence, and triple copies of TCBO. This is the most important card in this deck. Single-handedly, probably, I don't know, man. Something about TCBO that just wins games. We have 1 Topological Bomber Dragon, triple copies of Shizuku, 1 Kaina, 1 Kagari, triple copies of Hayate, 1 Ningrisu, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Hida, 1 Boral Sword, 1 copy of the Barricade Borg Blocker, and 1 Chimera Tech Mega Fleetu. Side deck here we have 2 copies of Ghost Bell, 1 copy of Starving Venom, 2 Mind Control, triple Shared Red, triple Super Poly, 2 Twin Twister, and 2 copies of Summon Limit. Wrapping up the Sky Striker list. Interesting enough to see that Starving Venom has found his way into this deck. Even though it's kind of in the side deck, being able to rotate out this as a slot is very good. I actually really like that. It makes your matchups a little bit easier. Once again, like, you kind of take what you can get for your already difficult matchups. Alright, next up, we have the Pure Thunder list coming out of Top Cut as well for this event. Now, Pure Thunder's been constantly evolving with this format. There's only so much that you can really do with this deck at the moment, and that's not a bad thing, though. But Pure Thunder, aka, if I get Nibirued, I get Nibirued. So we have 1 copy of Aloof Lupin, triple copies of Asher Blossom and Joyous Spring, triple copies of Battery Man Solar, 1 copy of Denka Rekka, triple copies of Dimension Shifter, 2 copies of Phantasmi, triple copies of the OG Thunder Dragon. Then we have triple copies of Thunder Dragon Dark, 2 copies of Dragon Duo, triple copies of Dragon Hawk. Then we have 2 copies of Matrix, triple copies of Dragon Roar. And spells, we have the triple Lord Darkness, 1 Gold Sark, Only 2 copies of Instant Fusion. Interesting to see that the number's been reduced for this deck. I know a few people that were talking about wanting to reduce this card in terms of numbers, because it can just be a dead draw times. We have 2 Thunder Dragon Fusion, 2 Twin Twister, and triple copies of Infinite Impermanence. Extra deck down here, we have 1 Summer Summoner, 1 Lambda, of course, 1 copy of Link Karibo, 1 Phoenix, 1 Borreload, and then we have the Black Luster Soldier, Mr. Indestructible. We have the number 68 Stronghold, triple copies of Titan, triple copies of Colossus, 1 copy of Thousand Eyes Tricked, and 1 Kaminari Attack. And then the side deck here, we have triple copies of Lancia, 1 Denko Rekka, triple copies of Nibiru, 1 copy of Twin Twisters, 2 EEV, triple evenly matched, 1 Pure Order, and 1 copy of Macrocosmo. Wrapping up this list. In terms of Thunder's developments and things like that, this is probably a very fair representation of how the deck goes. As I said, lower numbers on this, Dimension Shifters being in the deck, Phantasmes to some degree. This pretty much is the embodiment of the current format list that I would see. Now, this is the top cut Orcust list as well. Daddy likes what Daddy sees here. So, Orcust, actually seeing Orchestrated Return, seeing play in a format like this is kind of interesting. A lot of people had cut this, I'm not going to lie. It's interesting to see that it's back, though. So, to dig on into the top cut list for beautiful Orcust. So we have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. We have 2 copies of Danger Nessie, 2 copies of Jackalope, and 2 copies of Tsuchinoko. Then we have triple copies of Phantasme, 1 copy of Gizmek, 1 copy of Mathematician, 2 copies of Nibiru, 1 copy of Orcust Symbol Skeleton, and triple copies of the Harpora, 2 copies of Orcust Nightmare, triple copies of Scrap Recycler, 1 copy of the World Wand, and then spells here we have 2 Called by the Grave, 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, 1 copy of the Babel. Watching this get Cosmic Cyclone feels good, man. We have 1 Orchestrated Return, 1 Eagle Booster, 1 Hornet Drones, and triple Ash Blossom. Traps, we have 1 Imperial Order, triple Imperm, and 2 copies of Crescendo. Down here in the extra deck, of course, we have 1 Topological Bomber Dragon, 1 Kagari, 1 Langrisu, 1 Phoenix, 1 Mermaid, 1 Cerberus, triple copies of Galtea, 1 Borrelsword, 1 copy of the Mind Hacker. This is very interesting. Being able to look at the opponent's extra deck and banish 1 card, that's really cute. I wonder how many times this actually came up for him. We have 1 Big Eye, 2 Dingarisu, 1 Mega Fleet, and then the side deck here we have 1 Cyber Dragon, okay, 2 Pankratops, 2 Effect Veiler, triple No Material, 2 Sphere Mode, 1 Starving Venom, 2 Super Polymerization, and 2 copies of Twin Twister. Wrapping this up. I don't know, that Mind Hacker is interesting tech. Like I said, I wonder how many times this actually came up in terms of playability for him. I assume if it's here that it was relevant. There's no reason for it not to be, because you do have access to level 7s. It's just kind of in the back of my mind. I am curious to know really how well this went. And then the last list we have here, oh, it's another Striker deck. What a surprise. This deck definitely was holding on through Top Cut. It's interesting to see that it got blown out really so early, though. So, we have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 copy of Effect Veiler, 1 copy of Ghost Spell, with 2 copies of Ghost Ogre and triple copies of Ray. So, we do have an extra hand trap lineup here, which feels kind of nice. We have 1 Cosmic Cyclone, 2 Foolish Rail Goods, 1 Metal Fusion, 2 copies of MSD, 1 Pot of Desires, 1 Rhoda, triple copies of Area Zero, 1 Afterburners, 1 Jamming Waves, the Eagle Booster back. It's interesting to see this card came back into the format, though. 1 Hornet Drones, 2 Shark Cannon, triple Widow Anchor, 1 Multi-Roll, 1 Hercules Base, triple Engage, 1 Terraforming, and the 1 copy of Upstart Goblin. And then traps here are 1 Imperm and 2 TCBO in the main deck, which is interesting. Then we have 1 Topological Bomber Dragon, triple copies of Shizuku, 1 Kaina, 1 Kagari, and triple Hayate. We have the 1 copy of Ningarisu, 1 Unicorn, 1 Phoenix, 1 Hito, 1 Borrelsword, and the 1 copy of Barricade Borg Blocker. Side deck, we have triple Lancia, 2 Pankratops, 2 Nibiru, 1 Mind Control, 2 Shared Ride, 2 Twin Twister, 1 Summon Limit, and 2 copies of White Howling. Wrapping up the chunk of decks that I had coming out of the YCS this weekend. congratulations to everybody that participated and did well this weekend. I'm interested to see what other decks are going to kind of come across my desk over the next couple of days around this event. I'll definitely cover as much as I can out of this too. And as always, if you guys did good, reach out to me on Facebook, send in your list, and well, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace out. The ride never, well, truly ends. Thank you, patrons. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be wearing in these videos. I might be a truffle shuffle incident all over again. Guys, please also check out VanCole40 for some awesome Vanguard content. Some other interesting stuff you might find up here on the left or in the description as well. Thanks for watching.